Okay, I want to tell you a little bit about a story when Moses grew up. He's not a baby anymore. We don't have baby Moses with us. He grew up, and he had to leave the palace and go live out in the desert away from the palace. And he lived out there, and he took care of sheep, and he ended up getting married and having children out there. But they lived right next to a real tall mountain called Mount Sinai. And remember, we've been talking about plants and interesting plants. You see the fire behind me? I want to tell you about this one particular pine tree. There's a pine tree called the Jack pine tree, and it has pine cones on it. I don't know if you can see them. They're not big and fluffy. They're real tight and closed up, and the seeds are down inside there.
Can she see my pine cone?
Do you know what it takes to open these up so that the seed will come out and then make new pine trees? It's a fire. So when you have a forest fire and everybody gets upset because everything's burning, these trees and these pine cones, the fire melts the glue on the outside of this pine cone and it opens up and all the seeds pop out of it and make new trees to replace the trees that were burned down in the fire. Isn't that cool? God has such neat things for us. We need to open our eyes and see all the beautiful things God made just for us. Now, the other reason we're standing in front of the fire is because, just a minute, Lois, let's finish this, is because Moses looked up one day. He was out taking care of the sheep, and he looked up on the mountain and he saw something very strange indeed. It was a bush, and it was on fire, but it didn't seem to be burning up. Now, our fire is burning up. We're burning up an old tree that we had to have cut down, and it's going to burn up. There's not going to be anything left when it's all done. But this bush was not burning up, so he was really curious. I think you would be too. He went up on the mountain to see what was going on with that very strange bush. And when he got closer to the bush, there was a voice that said, "Moses," and told him to take off your shoes because you are standing on holy ground. He was standing there talking to God, and God was using that bush to talk to Moses. It didn't burn up because God was there and he wanted to talk to Moses. He told Moses, he said, "I need you to go back to Egypt. I need you to go back and tell the Pharaoh to let my people go." Because something sad was happening. All the Hebrew people that were there were slaves, and they were having to work very, very, very hard all day long and very little food, and they were being mistreated. And God didn't want that to happen anymore. So he wanted to use Moses to go to Egypt and tell Pharaoh, "Let my people go." And Moses was like, "I would be. But God, I'm not a very good talker. I have trouble putting a sentence together. How can I do that?" And he kept arguing with God. Can you believe that? Arguing with God? That would be scary. And God finally said, "Okay, Moses, you're going to go back to Egypt, and I'm going to let your brother Aaron go with you." Remember in the first story we met Miriam. Well, there was an older brother named Aaron, and he let Aaron go with Moses to talk to the Pharaoh about letting the people go so they could return to the promised land, their homeland that they were always looking forward to going home to. So that's basically the end of that story. Our next story, we're going to talk about what happened when Moses got in front of Pharaoh and asked him to let the people go. Do you think Moses said, "Sure"? We'll find out.